Afrospace TV, Africa to the world.
Honorable Adedji Stanley Olajide, also rep member representing Ibadan, Northwest South Federal Constituency of your state. The question you ask about why is it so cumbersome to reach some of our legislators, well, I can only speak for myself. So I will just speak from the angle of why sometimes it's difficult to meet up all the schedules and even some of these communication challenges. One is the work schedule. You have to balance between party affairs, legislative affairs, and infrastructural responsibilities or social responsibilities to the people. So if you're really out here to serve, you won't have a whole lot of time in your hands. You can even delegate, you will not be able to do, they can't do everything for you. So being pulled in so many different directions is very tough. So like for example, with me, ideally I'm supposed to be a member of 7 committees. Today now I have about 20 something committees that I have commitments to. And I deliberately did it so that way there will be visibility. I can use my wealth of knowledge that I've gained overseas to contribute everywhere so that at least we can get Nigeria moving in the right direction with my own little small contribution. So meeting committees, committee meetings, oversight functions, coming up with bills, motion, reading bills that other members, because you have to be very careful in the house. There are bills that somebody will sponsor. If you are not aware of what is going on there, and you say, hey, and you just go to the chamber and say highs and nays and all that, it won't cut it. So to get to read through all of those things, it takes a lot of time. So oftentimes we're bringing our motions, bills all around. While sometimes you might not necessarily have your own bill, I have few bills that I've contributed to, but I have lots of bills that I've actually, done amendments to, because there's no point reinventing the wheel. If you come up with a bill and it's a good bill, why should I just now go and start looking for my own bill? But let's strengthen the ones, let's strengthen the laws of the land that we have. We have a lot of laws, but it's just not being enforced. So between that, and then our responsibility to the people, the economic situation in the country right now is terribly bad, terribly bad. So, and if you're the kind of representative that really loves to be around people, they'll call you here for naming ceremony, for burial, for this, for that. Between all of that, that takes a lot of time. And then you have security crisis, you have to intervene into crisis. I can't even begin to tell you about all these area boys that we settle their scores all the time, otherwise they'll kill themselves. We're in the city, so we cannot look away. Then you have party affairs, because without the party, I can't be here. The party nominated me, then you voted for me. But if they don't nominate me, so I have to tend to their needs as well. So that's why it's very cumbersome. Well, first of all, thank you for that brilliant question. Let me start from the very last one you said about, Governor Seyi Makinde is our leader, and he's a visionary leader. He's well coherent. He knows exactly what he's doing. And I support the idea that before a federal, you call him the chief security officer of the state, he should not be cosmetic. He should be one that is hands-on. It should be one that secretly inform him. I mean, let's talk about the United States, for example. No federal government, no president in the United States operate in any state without, there will be security brief. There are security briefs that goes around every day. The SSS, the Secret Service, whatever reports they pass on to the president, he passes them on to the governors of the 50 states. Okay, so that way they are aware. And then we call the FBI, whatever FBI have, they'll give it to the president. It gets the information down to the governors. So the governors now take it down and it goes to the mayors. So every arm of government have access to security vital information. That's why they're chief security officer, and that's why they swore oath that they will keep the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, so we can trust them with the information. So I'm strongly for, harming them with the information. Don't just come to their state and make them look like it's an embarrassment when a federal agency come to your state and start implementing even projects. If federal government have projects they need to do in a state, they need to carry the state governors along. Sit down with them. We want to appropriate this budget to your state. Do you have any addition? Do you have anything you want to, is there any other preference? Sometimes we just sit down the other day there was a project going on here at Liberty Stadium. The governors are not informed. It's a bit of, it's not a good practice. So I am for that. I think we need to strengthen the information sharing between the three arms of government so that we can strengthen our country. On the other issue about the bill, there's one particular bill that we have this College of Agriculture here in Mount Plantation. I believe that if we turn that to a federal university, number one, is going to strengthen the economy. Federal University of Agriculture. Number one, we have so many villages all around us here in Ibadan. Okay, and all they do there is purely agriculture. There's genetic farming, genetic re-engineering, all these things we can do with them. They can also start doing a lot of analytics around plants and animals, so that way to feed our people. Food is getting too expensive. Okay, so I believe that if we're able to turn that into a federal university, that will help us significantly, because Ibadan is so special in a way that we have a lot of land, and yet we're still a metropolitan area. So to put that mix together, so it's going to strengthen the economy of Ibadan to have a Federal University of Agriculture. So that was a bill that I brought up. There are a few other bills that I found very, like one about the social infrastructure, like Social Security that they give out in the United States. We're trying to see if we can come up with one. The reform of the police. I was heavily involved with the police reform bill, because part of the issue in Nigeria right now, we don't have a good police structure, and we also need state police. That is something that it's a must do for Nigeria. We cannot continue to police from the center. Look at the population of Nigeria, about 200 and something million. And I believe that we're already pushing that 300 million mark. Okay, what's the strength of our police force? So small, and the welfare of police is also very bad. See, me, I'm not a believer that you don't do the right thing because of the cons. I always want to dwell on the pros. Because there's negative thinking, there's positive thinking. I like to stick to the side of positive thinking. Yes, there will be abuse of power somewhere. But again, there are laws that we can put in place that any governor that does that could be stripped of their immunity. We can do it. We can say, okay, fine, if you use that apparatus or use that agency illegally, we'll strip you of your immunity. So we can put things in place to checkmate that. But we cannot say because they are going to abuse it, we don't do the right thing. Who are we trying to protect? Is it from the governor or to protect our people? We are trying to protect our people. So if we want to protect our people, let's not worry about what a single person does. There's a saying that communication is very broad. When you talk about data, voice, and video. Data communication is slowly progressing in Nigeria. Video and voice, they're coming behind. Data, because you and I will buy and we'll get to text We send text messages, we're on WhatsApp, we do all these things. They're very good. Good instrument. Again, let me also say this. I'm not for banning Twitter. Okay? Anything that infringe on the rights of press, media, I'm never for it. We must have independent media and press. So let me go back to that. So when you're talking about information technology, because computer science, you have data structure, okay? And that's where you now talk about the bits and bytes and all of these things. Then you have the general, which I call a layman terms of internet. Internet comes in so many wide range of layers because there's so many protocols that drive things there. So let's talk about the one that is widely accepted in Nigeria, which is for ability for people to communicate, pass information across the country. Look at what happened during the protest in Nigeria. Media played a huge role. In some ways, some people abused it by passing negative information. So we need to also guide against people passing negative information. But to come to that, it's a strong role where when it comes to in the area of finance, we have played a role because if you see now that all the ministries, they are all going digital now. All the federal agencies, I'm part of that initiative. You know, we met with the head of civil service. They have passed the directive to all agencies because I believe if we continue to go that route, the cost of governance will reduce drastically. So that's to answer your point on one side. Then also the night comsat, you know, there's also satellite communication. I'm a part of that as well because that falls under a different committee, which is ICT. And I was a tech committee chairman for that. And we looked at it. It's underutilized. We have the satellite. We are not using it. It's not being used at all. We're not getting any patronage. We're not getting enough. Even the federal government is not patronizing NightComSat enough. Look at the issue of electronic, transit. Those are things that we definitely can use. I will speak extensively about that. But there are so many things that you can use. Fiber optics, which also Nigeria did something, they call it the NICTIB. We took a loan and we ran fiber. They said they ran fiber across the entire south and the north. And so that way it serves as a backbone that is Galaxy backbone is actually using. It's there, underutilized, okay? So INEC can layer on top of that. The last mile, villages, remote areas where it will not be easy to get to, we can use satellite. It's there, it's readily available. But again, we have done all those things and we're not doing much with them. So to answer your point, I'm involved in the total automation of our government. I'm all involved with, I'm part of the PIB. You know, there are so many areas where technology also can boost that sector. So we're doing a lot in that space. And there are a few things on the security side that I cannot disclose on camera, because I'm also a member of the National Security Committee. We just had that, the NIA. Thank you. I'm glad that you're very proficient with Google. I'm a pioneer when it comes to Google Cloud. I was one of the very first architects to deploy the solution for the human genomics platform at Stanford University. Because, you know, Google, most of those executives of Google came out of Stanford. And I was the architect. The system is still there that we're doing human genomics on that platform. So with security considerations into all of that to know how we can do business in the cloud is there. The sincerity of purpose is not there in Nigeria, okay? There's technology to solve all our problems, but we're not being sincere. We're not being sincere with ourselves. We like to dwell on the negatives. Yeah, they're hackers. they still hack the US system. So you don't say because you'll be hacked, you continue to mature. You know, hacking, you know, when you look at it, I remember when there was a time when IP spoofing was a thing. You adopt somebody's IP. You know, later we came up with masking, so that way you don't have. Then we started doing ephemeral IP. So when you use the IP today, by the time you come back tomorrow, your system is using a different IP. So somebody cannot really hack you tomorrow. But while you're on that IP address, we can also exploit different protocols to get to your. So you don't look at that. That is a moving target. Security is always a moving target. The same way you have security challenges in town, the same way you have security challenge on the internet. So we can't stop growing because of that. Now let's go to this electronic e-transmission of our results. E-voting. Yes, e-voting is doable. It is doable. But because there are people that are scared of winning or losing election, they are not being sincere with Nigerians. I'm not worried about losing election. I didn't know how I won to start with. It's only God that knows how I won. So why should I be worried about losing? You know, but there are people that basically, they want to continue to truncate our people. The voice of the masses should not be heard. That is it. They just want to continue to write results. Okay? That's just point blank. It's not because e-voting is not achievable, but would they be able to perpetrate the fraud that they are used to? That is the problem. You know, for as long as we continue to have this terrible type of leadership, we're not going to mature as a nation. Again, this is the 21st century. There's so many things you can do. Transmitting results should not be an issue. Like I said earlier, you can transmit via internet. Where there's no internet, use satellite. There was a time when we're not running fiber in Nigeria. Do you know that we actually took a first leap on GSM, even before United States? United States was heavily on CDMA at one point, and by the time GSM came, we took a leap into GSM. It was after that the United States now jump on GSM. Now they start to phasing out CDMA network. So there is nothing wrong with it. It's doable, it's achievable. We can design it. The federal government can, okay, let's take 36 experts from all the states of Nigeria, put us in a room and let's design something that will work. We can design it. All that nonsense that they were telling us on the floor, NCC coming to telling Nigeria is not achievable, is bunch of baloney. It is achievable. But you know what? Otokoro. You know, téèyàn bá dẹ̀ ń du orí lórí wa tó máa du tara ẹlẹ́gbẹ́ kan. You know, àwọn kan wà tí wọ́n fẹ́ gbọ́ òótọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ yìí. But òótọ́ ọbẹ̀ ni pé electronic transmission of our results is achievable. Gbogbo villages kò síbi tí satellite ò dé. Kò síbi tí satellite ò dé. Fiber yín lè má débẹ̀, but satellite lè débẹ̀. Ṣebí ìgbà kan wà tá à ń lo teleport. A lè gbé teleport síbí báyìí sí kí gbogbo àwọn èèyàn tó ń fẹ́ lo internet ní gbogbo Ìbàdàn kó máa connect sí teleport yẹn. But majority of àwọn kan tó tún máa help wá sí ọ̀rọ̀ iná yìí náà tún ni. Iná yìí is a major challenge for Nigeria. If we get that power right, technology is there, but technology needs power. There's no way you can enjoy technology if you don't have power. It's impossible. Like you came now, if you tap about on generator, you couldn't have done anything here. So that's the thing. Let me tell you this the way Nigeria is right now, with what I've seen, is not working. It's too one-sided. I'll keep it that way. We need to restructure Nigeria. Full stop. Nigeria needs to be restructured. Ẹ jẹ́ n tún sọ Yorùbá. láì yí ọ̀rọ̀ sẹ́nu yí lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ yí lọ́tún a gbọ́dọ̀ restructure Nàìjíríà ní dandan. Mi ò believe pé violence la gbọ́dọ̀ fi ṣe o. Mi ò believe pé a gbọ́dọ̀ ta ẹ̀jẹ̀ sílẹ̀ rárá ká tó débẹ̀. Gbogbo bí tá bá gbogbo ọpọlọ tá bá need láti lò a gbọ́dọ̀ lè lo ohun tá a ní ní bíbá ẹ̀ ká fi build ara wa. A gbọ́dọ̀ lè ṣe nǹkan ọ̀sìn, a gbọ́dọ̀ lè dáko ká lè mójútó ọrọ̀ ajé ara wa. Tí ó ń ṣe pé tí nǹkan kan bá ti dé láti òkè àbí láti ibì kankan a lè gbégbé sí ayé àlàáfíà. Èmi ò fọwọ́ mọ́ yẹn. Nàìjíríà a need láti tòtò bó ṣe wà ń sìn. Ṣé tani dìdìrìn ẹ̀kẹ́rù tó yẹ kájọ máa pín ní ọgbọgba ẹ̀ kó síbì kan ẹ̀ ní káwá ṣẹrú yín ni àbọ̀ fi wá yáwó lọ́dọ̀ èèyàn kan wọ́n fi wá yáwó náà. Ọmọ Yorùbá lèmi mo dẹ̀ support gbogbo ohun tí Yorùbá bá fi lè dá dúró tí gbogbo wa tí Nàìjíríà a sì lè ní Nàìjíríà o, but we need to restructure it where the federal government gbogbo ń tà kó sí federal ó ti pọ̀ jù. Let's decentralize it to all the states. If you look at it, federal government have 13 trillion. I'm a member of appropriation. We have 13 trillion in the budget. What's the budget of your state government? Less than 300 billion. Even if you take that 300 billion, look at the number of all the states. Then ẹni kan bá 11 ṣe kíní kan gbogbo tá ń ṣe yìí kò bí bàtà àmọ́ tá ń ṣe ni. Ṣùgbọ́n ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wa tẹ́ bá rí ìta ṣe tí gbogbo wa fi work out kúrò ní chamber ní last week. A sọ fún wọn ẹ lè lọ pass ẹ o. Ẹ̀yin lẹ ní number ẹ lè pass ẹ but ọwọ́ wa ò sí ńbẹ̀. Olóòtú mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ṣe sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan orúkọ tèmi ni Honorable Adedji Stanley Olajide tí mo ń ṣàṣojú fún ẹkùn ìdìbò ṣe gúúsù ìwọ̀ oòrùn àti àríwá ní ìlú Ìbàdàn ní Ọ̀yọ́ state níbí. Ṣé rí nígbà tí a bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìgbésí ayé wa agboolé Akúrú ní Agbeni ni mo ti wá. Bàbá mi ni bàbá Eléṣò ọlọ́lá ni. Ṣùgbọ́n ó jẹ́ èèyàn kan tó jẹ́ pé kò fi ọlá bà ọmọ jẹ́. Bí bàbá mi ṣe wà yẹn Ìkàrẹ́ Àkókó lóhùn wọn lọ. Lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ pé kò yá lọ ṣerú fún èèyàn kan bì kan. Má ṣe pé nítorí pé ó bọ́lá ńlẹ̀. Ìwà tí bàbá wa wù tí bàbá tí wọ́n wù fún wọn náà wọ́n náà wù fáwa náà. Mi ò lè sọ pé mo jẹ̀yà ní kékeré. Mi ò lè sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ torí I went to some of the best schools, the private schools that money can buy in Ibadan. I went to Alafia Nursery Primary School in Mokola before I went to Methodist and then before I traveled abroad. So mi ò lè sọ pé mo jẹ̀yà. Òṣèlú ò dẹ̀ ṣe pé tí mo bá nu lé but kíní kan ni mo mọ̀ tí mo ní mo láàánú èèyàn. Láti kékeré ìgbà míì wà tí ìyá wa bá ṣe oúnjẹ tán táwa bá ti jẹun tán máa lọ gbé ọbẹ̀ máa dá gbogbo ẹ̀ sínú ké máa lọ gbé fáwọn security àtàwọn ará àdúgbò tí wọ́n rán mi wọ́n á sì nà mí títí. Wọ́n á máa bèèrè kí ló dé tó jẹ ìyá oníyà. Ṣùgbọ́n ntí mi gan fúnra mi ò lè explain ẹ̀ ní pé nǹkan tó fún mi ni bẹ́ẹ̀ wá fún mi lówó mo ń dá owó mi jọ tí mo fi ń ran ẹlòmíì lọ láti kékeré ni kì í ṣe pé bóyá nítorí mo ṣe ń kọ́ ìwà yẹn wù. Mo dẹ̀ rántí ìgbà tí a bẹ̀rẹ̀ àǹfààní carnival tá a bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní 1990 ní owó tá a fi bẹ̀rẹ̀ carnival gan kọ́lé nígbà náà lọ́hùn but kí ni àfojúsùn wa ni pé òkè àwa lọ lóyìnbó a padà dé Nàìjíríà à ń rí èmi àtọ̀rẹ́ mi Ṣọlá orí òkè pé wọ́n àti dé pé àwọn youth náà káwọn náà máa wà vibrant báwa náà ṣe máa ń ṣe tá a máa ń ṣe gbogbo fàájì káàkiri ìgboro ńgbà tí àwa náà kéré la fi bẹ̀rẹ̀ carnival náà ń gbà yẹn. Mo kàn fi ṣàpèjúwe ni pé ìfẹ́ ọmọ ènìyàn ó wà nù ọkàn mi kì í ṣe pé bóyá nítorí pé bí mo fẹ́ ṣòṣèlú àbí ìdẹ̀rọ kan pé mo fẹ́ ṣòṣèlú. I'm a computer scientist, that's what I do. But as I started helping people tí mo fi ń ran àwọn èèyàn lọ́wọ́ kó ṣe kúkú ronú pé a bẹ̀rẹ̀ kí ni forum kan gbà yẹn ń pè ní Progressive Youth Forum láǹfààní mẹ́rin a fi ń ṣe àwọn èèyàn àyáwọn èèyàn lówó à ń help wọn fún school à ń ṣe oríṣiríṣi so at the point kan ó ṣe consider pé kúkú lọ máa bá àgbẹ̀tọ̀ wa kúkú máa kó wọlé wa lọ rísítẹ̀ kó jẹ́ pé gbogbo tó bá ti lọ sílùú òyìnbó tó bá kó dé náà ní àjọ ń ṣe àtàjọ ń pín ṣùgbọ́n later mo kọ́kọ́ yarí wọn lọ́wọ́ bọ́gbà mo rí pé ẹgbẹ́ yẹn ti fẹ́ máa tú ni mo ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń consider àdẹ̀dúpẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run wípé bá a ṣe Ọlọ́run á ro Ọlọ́run sì ṣe àmì sí òun la fi dé ipò tá a wà yìí ṣùgbọ́n ipò tá a wà yìí kọ́ ló wà important in tí èèyàn fi ipò ṣe lórí lè wà important ibi tó lórí lè wà important because àwọn ẹni tí wọ́n ti ibi ṣe ń bọ̀ nínú ipò lórí ipò yẹn lọ́la so àdẹ̀gbúdọ̀ lànà ká set good example fún wọn mo sọ ń gbà tá a fẹ́ dìbò mo ní mi ò wá nítorí mo fẹ́ kọ́lé mo fẹ́ ra mọ́tà mo fẹ́ dáṣẹ́lẹ̀ alhamdulilayi gbogbo kíní ni Ọlọ́run ṣe fún wa ṣùgbọ́n ẹ jẹ́ ká ní ẹ̀pà rere kí ìgbésí ayé wa má dàbí òjò tó kọjá lórí àpáta tí ò nípa kankan nú ayé ṣe rí èèyàn kí n torí pé ní téèyàn máa ṣe kó má ṣe tó yẹ kó ṣe one ohun tí a fi ń ṣe ẹ̀tọ́ wọn ni kì í ṣe pé bóyá mo ń mú owó nínú àpò mi ẹ̀tọ́ wọn tí mo lọ gbà wá so àtẹni tó fẹ́ràn mi àtẹni tí ò fẹ́ràn mi àtàràlù gbogbo wọn ló lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ sí tí a rẹ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe fún wọn wípé wọ́n máa dìbò fún wa lọ́jọ́ iwájú Ọlọ́run ló ní déédéé ṣẹ́rí ẹni tó bá jókòó tó bá ń sọ pé bẹ́ẹ̀ tó bá ṣe tèmi tọ́lọ́run bá ti ṣe tèèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ máa wọ́rí nípa pé ṣé lágbájá máa ṣe tèmi nígbà tá a fẹ́ dìgbà náà mo kú mọ́ àwọn tó wá ń gbowó lọ́wọ́ mi tó dẹ̀jẹ̀ pé wọ́n dẹ̀ dìbò fún mi ṣùgbọ́n Ọlọ́run gbé wa jẹ́rí so kí lèèyàn fẹ́ máa wọ́rí nípa ẹ̀ fún tó bá yẹ kéèyàn ṣe èèyàn ṣe ẹ wo gbogbo adúrú orí ta fún ní grant bí ibà ní ìjẹta àwọn ọmọ ẹlòmíì ò mọ pé bí báyìí lòun ti máa rówó ẹran ẹlòmíì ò mọ bí tóun ti fẹ́ rówó oúnjẹ ẹlòmíì máa ń lọ ilé ọdún tí ò mọ bí tó ti fẹ́ rówó ṣùgbọ́n part of it ta fi grant ṣe náà ni pé ká fi cushion effect inflation wà ń lù ẹ wo salary àwọn èèyàn wa kí ni salary wọn ẹ wo bóúnjẹ ṣe wọ́n ok lánàá mo ń sọ fún kúùkù mi mo ní kí ló dé tó ń náwó báyìí o fẹ́ ṣe ráìsì àti kò dín tòmátò o gba 2,000 naira tó kó fẹ́ ra onions ata gbogbo ẹ̀ 2,000 naira yẹn gan tó èèyàn jẹun náà ṣé ọlá là ń lò yìí má bẹ́ẹ̀ mi náwó bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn mọ́ o níta bá ti fẹ́ ṣe àáṣe ní máàsì tí ó jẹ́ pé a lè máa so gbogbo àwọn tó wà ń bí báyìí inú mi dùn pé at least over 600 people benefited from that program which is àtolóṣèlú àtàràlù ẹ mọ̀ pé ẹ máa ń wo kíní kan ọwọ́ mẹ́rin ló máa ń bímọ tó ń tọ́mọ ọwọ́ méjì ti bàbá ọwọ́ méjì ti ìyá nígbà tọwọ́ méjì bá sọṣẹ́lẹ̀ ó kù méjì nígbà míì wà èèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ fi ọwọ́ kún ọwọ́ wọn láti fi ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ opó tẹ bá wo bí system wa ní Nàìjíríà ṣe rí kò favour obìnrin kò favour obìnrin tó so ká máa tí ìwà sọ pé wá tó wá jẹ́ opó ta ló fẹ́ fopó wọ́n ní bí òun ló lu ọkọ rẹ̀ pa ta ló fẹ́ gbà wọ́n síṣẹ́ ẹ mọ̀ pé stereotyping pọ̀ ní system wa ń bí báyìí kẹ tó pé kíní kan alájẹ ni látara bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n wà nínú ìyà nínú ìnira téèyàn bá fi ọwọ́ kún ọwọ́ tiwọn bí èèyàn ò tiẹ̀ lérè kankan láyé èmi bí lè pé èèyàn ní èrè lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run látara bẹ́ẹ̀ so mo dẹ̀ sí ń ṣe kì í ṣe pé nítorí pé mo tara bọ òṣèlú ṣé wàá rí ti tàwọn ìyá wa tẹ́ ẹ mú mẹ́nu lé yẹn àbíamọ ni wọ́n ṣe rí nígbà tá a fẹ́ dìbò tẹ́ bá rí mi ibikíbi tí n bá lọ ẹ rí àwọn ìyá arúgbó lẹ́yìn mi nígbà tí ọmọ máa kú ọmọ máa yẹ tá a wà ń court àwọn ìyá yìí ni látàárọ̀ ṣúlẹ̀ nígbà tá a fẹ́ dìbò náà ni àwọn náà bóra wọn sí hòhò tó ń ṣàdúrà fún mi pé lágbára Ọlọ́run wàá wọlé ṣé nígbà tá a bá wọlé ṣàgolo ráìsì nìkan lókù tá a máa wọ̀n fún wọn but àwọn náà téèyàn àwọn kan náà ń ṣorí burúkú àwọn kan ń ṣorí burúkú èmi ò gbàdúrà kí n ṣorí burúkú àwọn kan ń ṣorí burúkú olúkálukú ni ó máa gbàdúrà ẹni tó bá wúrù wà bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn àpẹẹrẹ orí ibu ni kó wá jẹ́ ńgbà tó ẹ wá bu agolo ráìsì ẹ máa dà fún wọn pé the only thing wọn á jókòó pẹ̀lú Federal Ministry of Agriculture mo ní program wo la lè ṣe fún àwọn ìyá wa yìí Adedji mọ̀ wọ́n tipẹ́tipẹ́ wọ́n máa ń ṣe nǹkan ọ̀sìn àwọn ìyá wa yìí láìkí ẹ̀ kì í ṣe pé kí ní bẹ́ẹ̀ dágbo léèsì ẹ̀rí wọ́n bẹ̀ tán ní nǹkan ọ̀sìn wọn bí nǹkan bá mú ẹran wọn ẹ̀rí tó máa gbẹ́ran sórí ẹsẹ̀ báyìí tán máa tọ́jú egbò tó wà lẹ́sẹ̀ iṣẹ́ wọn láìkí ẹ̀ tẹ́ bá dẹ̀ wò ẹ̀ ń sọ̀rọ̀ màálù à ń para wa dànù lórí màálù kí ló dé ìgbà táwọn ìyá wa lè ṣe ẹran tá a lè máa jẹ kí là ń dára wa láàmú fún tá à ń hanra wa lè mọ̀ ni a fi decide pé òkè àtakọ àtabo àtóúnjẹ oúnjẹ animal husbandry tán fẹ́ ṣe gan wọn kò sí ẹran gangan nu budget èmi mo fi owó ẹran kún we are supposed to give feeds to àwọn tó ń ṣe farming àwa la tweak ẹ̀ kó fi lè kúnná dáadáa láti wá ra ẹran fún àwọn ìyá wa yìí sódà ara kọ ara bo àwa kó oúnjẹ fún wọn àti fún àwọn lówó wọ́n ṣe training fún wọn ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ wọ́n ṣe wà so that wọ́n á lè máa lára wọn ẹ jẹ́ n sòótọ́ fún yín lára wọn ẹran wọn ti ń dàgbà báyìí so bó jẹ́ èèyàn 20 30 àwọn kan ta ẹran wọn o because lè fẹ́ yẹn kù nínú tó wà nílẹ̀ the level of poverty tó wà Nàìjíríà ṣe ọkẹ́ tó ń wá 20,000 tó fẹ́ fi rán ọmọ ẹ̀ lọ sí school àti tó fẹ́ fi sanwó school tẹ̀ fún lẹ́ran tó dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé tó mọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ ajé tó wà níbẹ̀ nígbà táwọn ará ẹran yẹn gbà ITA náà ń ra irú ẹran yẹn lọ́wọ́ yẹn species tá a rà àwọn species yẹn náà máa ń kó lọ Brazil láti Nàìjíríà ń bí ITA náà ń breed wọn they are special breeds èmi náà mo ní wọn tí mò ń sìn báyìí tẹ́ bá dé ọ̀dọ̀ wa láǹfààní bẹ́ẹ̀ rí wọn tèmi náà ń sìn wọn báyìí tí mo dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé tó bá yá ń sìn mo lè decide pé mi jẹ màálù mọ́ ẹran yẹn tó jẹ so àwọn ìyá wa wàláhì wọ́n deserve ń ta ṣe fún wọn Ọlọ́run ni ó dá bóyá ń ta ṣe fún wọn dá àbí ò dá olóòtú mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín ṣe rí láti ayédáyé lọ́kọ àti ìyàwó tí ń jà ọkọ lè bá ìyàwó jà kí ìyàwó kókó nulẹ̀ kó lọ rẹ́ǹtì lẹ́ńtà bọ̀tàyè ó ṣe òfin lábẹ́ òfin ọkọ tìyàwó ṣì ni wọ́n tí ìjà bá parí lọ́la wọ́n á tún padà sí máa ṣe jollof rice wọn tọ́jọ́ ń jẹ́nu ilé tẹ́lẹ̀ èdè àìyedè ló wáyé which is bound to happen anywhere but people are on project ẹ̀fígbà jẹ́ pé end of life ní kì í ṣe end of life ó máa bó ṣe máa ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nìyẹn a lè wà pàlẹ́ fẹ́ rìn torí òní mì à á ṣera wa à á gúnra wa àwọn kan á ṣe ẹ̀mí mi náà ṣe àwọn èèyàn ayé ò ní parẹ́ àwọn tó ń bínú ó ní tó ń bínú lé lórí nígbà tí kinní yẹn bá dẹ̀ tẹ̀ wọ́n lọ́wọ́ tó ń ṣe gbogbo tá à ń sọ ẹ̀ tún parí so èmi ò believe pé ó bí eré game ni kò ń ṣe tí majority gbogbo àwọn tó wà lé APC lé níbo náà ẹgbẹ́ wo náà wà tẹ́lẹ̀ ibi PDP gbogbo wọn ti gbogbo ẹgbẹ́ tó wà Nàìjíríà nínú PDP náà ti jáde mo lè fẹ́ mélòó ni wọ́n ṣùgbọ́n ìpè ìjà wà yẹn ìjà ó máa ṣẹlẹ̀ but lágbára Ọlọ́run ọ̀gá wa engineer Ṣèyí Mákindé ó máa pẹ̀tù síjà ìjà á dẹ̀ parí tí gbogbo àdẹ̀jọ́ máa bá fàájì wa lọ ìyàwó á padà sílé ọkọ alárinà alẹ́rìnrìn àtúnyẹ̀bà gbogbo akọlẹ̀ bóyá wọ́n ṣì wọ́n gbọ́ ni àbí bí wọ́n ṣì sọ dẹni ìkànnù méjèèjì ló gbúdọ̀ jẹ́ ṣùgbọ́n èmi ò gbà pé gbogbo ala nílé lórí tó bá ní tó bá nílé ti rẹ́dí ń ṣe mí ní list èèyàn bíi 80,000 tẹ́ tán lè fún nílé tí tá a fi máa mọ̀ pé lóòótọ́ gbogbo wa nílé lórí ṣùgbọ́n gbà tí list èèyàn bíi 80,000 bá wà lọ́wọ́ èmi nìkan tán tó sì ń wálé so ilé kò tí ì kárí ṣùgbọ́n kíní kan ni màá sọ fún yín mo question wọn nígbà tí wọ́n ṣe meeting kan níjọ́ sí mo ní kí ló dé ẹlẹ́ǹkan lé 3,000 ẹ̀ ń kọ́ 2,000 sókè lọ́hùn ẹ̀ ń kọ́ bí 500 sí east ẹ̀ wá ń kọ́ 300 sọ́dọ̀ tiwa tí wọ́n fi wá yáwó ni táwọn kan abẹ́ mi pé kí n jọ torí àwọn ló pọ̀ jù opposition mo wà èmi ò sì ń bẹ̀rù èèyàn tèmi kò sẹ́ni tí mi ò ìgbà tí Lai Muhammed wá náà bí mo ṣe fèsì ẹ̀ ni èmi ò mọ bí èèyàn ṣe àwọn aráàlú tó dìbò fún mi nìkan ni mo bẹ̀rù torí àwọn ló fi mí síbẹ̀ tí mi ò bá dẹ̀ lè ṣe aṣojú fún wọn wọ́n ní right láti yọ mí kúrò ńbẹ̀ so gbogbo ẹ̀ torí ẹ̀ mo ṣe sọ fún wọn mo nílò ọ̀rọ̀ eléyìí o ẹ lọ tún ro dáadáa because ó ti fi síbì kan ju bì kan lọ wọ́n sì látúnṣe ó wáyé so láti dáhùn béèrè ilé òtó wọ́n sì bá wa ṣiṣẹ́ ṣìpọ̀ tán fẹ́ ṣe. ìkan wà wájú ọ̀dọ̀ mi bí báyìí tí mo fẹ́ fi ṣàpẹẹrẹ ìyá kan wà lẹ́nu ọ̀nà mi bí báyìí tó jẹ́ pé mo ti gbálé nígbà tó fi kọ́ tó fi permanent bí nítorí pé àlà ń fún lówó oúnjẹ mo ti gbálé pé ìyá wa lọ bẹ̀ kò gbà àti ní ká gbé lọ sí mental facility kan kí a fún ìjọ yẹn wọ́n kó ọlọ́pàá wá láti Olúyọ̀lé police station nígbà táwọn ọlọ́pàá fẹ́ máa rọ fáńdù èmi wọn ní ẹni sùúrù ẹ má pààyàn síbí but see one thing that I need láti ṣe there's education in all of this thing I need láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ká má máa stereotype àwọn ìyá wa some of them the challenges of life ló ti sọ wọ́n di ẹ wo gbogbo àwọn ọmọ wa tó ń lo drug yìí challenges of life ó wà láì I sit down with them a lot mo láti àgbàlá lẹ́yìn gbẹ̀yìn tó ń bá tẹ́ gbogbo àwọn ọmọ gúrú bá débẹ̀ kí ni problem yìí ẹ̀wọ̀ àwọn mi àti raref gbogbo àwọn àti blue àti ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ see we have to have social programs l'Amẹ́ríkà wọ́n ní senior citizens home tó jẹ́ pé ẹ̀rí wọn high rise báyìí ni ó lè jẹ́ 200 300 yàrá ló máa ń bẹ̀ wọ́n á nọ́ọ̀sì ń bẹ̀ wọ́n á náà health care tó máa arúgbó nìkan ló wà bẹ́ẹ̀ ó lè jẹ́ pé tí ó bá jẹ́ pé ordinarily bí i $600 $700 lẹ́ẹ̀ bá máa san lóṣù nílé yẹn wọ́n á ní káwọn arúgbó yẹn máa san bí i $30 or $40 wọ́n á dẹ̀ tún máa fún wọn ní check ìjọba máa fún wọn lówó tó lè cover owó tó ń san yẹn wọ́n á dẹ̀ tún máa fún wọn ní nǹkan tó ń pè ní food stamp you see but tá bá gbé gbogbo àwọn kíní ẹ jáde mi wá ní Amẹ́ríkà kọ́ la wà kí n káyé ronú bẹ́ẹ̀ Nigerian factor ó wà nínú tá à ń ṣe ń bí so there's a lot of challenges but see àwọn nǹkan mi máa ń wà tí mo máa ń propose ní housing máa ní lone voice àwọn ẹlòmíràn ní you don't come with this your Americana attitude you know ṣé kí ni irú àti wo lẹ fẹ́ kí n lò nígbà mo rí n tó dáa ṣe bí n tó dáa kọ́ ni màá fẹ́ máa copy ni ṣé kí wọ́n lọ máa copy n tó ń ṣe ní Rwanda àbí kí lọ máa copy n tó ń ṣe ní Sudan títí tí nǹkan ò dáa fún wọn bẹ́ẹ̀ ni màá lọ máa copy wọn torí so there's so many things social programs we are lacking a lot of social programs and right now Nigeria is wallowing in debt gbèsè àkànyáwó lójoojúmọ́ ni ìyẹn gan wà lára tó ń fúnyàn ní headache but owó tá a tún wá ń yá yìí àwọn kan tún ń jí so nígbà tí ẹ bá yá 13 trillion tó máa ń sọ pé ẹ kí nìkan ẹ tún lọ wo àwọn bí i 30% máa tún tẹ̀rí mẹ́ so there's a lot of problems but Ọlọ́run á bá gbé but a lot of minds need to be on this and then it starts from now. Okay, à ń sọ ń sì káwọn èèyàn wa kán lọ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí rẹ́gísítà láti dìbò ẹ̀yin náà ràn wá lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀yin mídíà ẹ bá wa polongo ẹ̀.
ní ibi tẹ́ ẹ dé yẹn mú ìmọ̀ bóyá ẹ tiẹ̀ lè sponsor advert kan lórí.
But àwọn olówó tó yín àwọn náà fún yín níwọ̀n àwọn náà a ní jíngù tá a lè fún yín tẹ́ bá lè bá wa rán ní ẹ àpọ̀jù owó tá a fún yín lè ò sí. The youths. Because if you look at it, 80%, 2020 budget, 80% of my budget went into education, which basically providing educational materials, school bags, textbooks, school furnitures. Go to 23 schools in my federal constituency now. Benches are out. Yes. The plastic chairs and good furnitures, they're in place. So we are going to continue with that. I will not just abandon it because we have done it. We have done ICT centers for our youths. There is one youth center here that I want to make it a technology hub where all these youths can come and just hang out there and share ideas. on a daily basis, because there's one area that I want our youth to tap into, which is this remote employment. It's becoming a major source of income for our people. Okay, ẹ lè jókòó sí bíbá yẹn sí kẹ́ máa ṣiṣẹ́ fún company tó wà ní Chicago. Ẹ lè jókòó sí bíbá yẹn sí kẹ́ máa ṣiṣẹ́ fún company tó wà ní California. So, and opportunity ẹ wà ńbẹ̀. So we are going to start this. So COVID-19 ṣe wá ń jàǹbá last year, because already mo ti register almost 1,000 people. But mi ì fẹ́ káwọn èèyàn wá kí wọ́n lọ ṣe kó wọn jọ sínú yàrá kankan náà ní COVID, àwọn èèyàn kú wọn ní tí èèyàn kan bá kú lọ́dọ̀ olóṣèlú ọ̀ràn ni. So èèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ ṣọ́ra ṣe. So for the next 2 years, all my activity is going to be around youth and women empowerment, while still maintaining what we have in education. Because Oga ń ṣe a lot, Governor Seyi Makinde is doing a lot in the educational sector. So while we are complementing that in my federal constituency, we'll continue to take all these youths and we'll give them trainings. There will be a lot of trainings. We have the phone repair thing that we are going to start very soon. We are going to teach people cloud computing, Google, AWS, and Azure. We'll teach them. But wàhálà pọ̀ ńlẹ̀. So I think mo feel pé nísìnyí I think stabilize àwọn kankan díẹ̀. So now we can start taking on these things. And some of our people are enthusiastic about it. But when it comes to the sacrifice, they don't want to sacrifice. It takes a lot of reading, a lot of practicals, because to do business in the cloud is completely different from doing business in a data center where you have distributed computing. You have to now learn how to lock things down, how to make things work. Because for example, now I'm doing something where I'm chairing the technical committee for e-registration of PDP members in Nigeria. Okay, so all of our members, we are going to register them electronically. So we don't you will see, we will do it. And by the time we do it, then now everybody will jump on the bandwagon. We'll set the example. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin bàbá wa, ẹ̀yin ìyá wa, ẹ̀yin ẹ̀gbọ́n, ẹ̀yin àbúrò wa, Barika de Sala, ojú wa máa rọ́dún àwa tá a ṣe ilé náà láṣẹ mi lágbára Ọlọ́run. A mọ̀ pé ìyà wà ń lò, a mọ̀ pé wàhálà wà ń lò, a mọ̀ pé ìyàn wà ń lò. Ẹ má sọ retí nù. Àwa kan wà tó jẹ́ pé láàárọ̀, lọ́sàn-án, alẹ́, wàláhì à ń ṣe fún yín, a sì continue láti máa ṣe. Èmi ọmọ yín, Dekrolai Adedji Stanley Olajide, mo sọ fún yín lágbára Ọlọ́run, gbogbo ohun t'Ọlọ́run bá fún mi ní kápá lórí ẹ̀ á ṣe láti fi ràn yín lọ́wọ́. Kò ní sú wa ṣe. Ẹ̀yin náà dẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹ bá wa fi ọwọ́ sowọ́pọ̀ pẹ̀lú ìjọba kí Ọ̀yọ́ state lè lọ síwájú, kí Ìbàdàn North West South West kó lè ní lọ síwájú lágbára Ọlọ́run mú adélẹ̀ lérí. Bọ̀ kì í ṣe jọ́ tá a bá gùn là ń kàn. So ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ sùúrù lẹ́ẹ̀ni. Ṣùgbọ́n kì í ṣe pé sùúrù ọdún o, sùúrù ẹ̀ṣáàjì àjọ máa bá lọ. Gbogbo bá ṣe ń lọ, mi ní jẹ́ kí tí yín ó di. Mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín, Ọlọ́run sì máa wà pẹ̀lú yín. Honorable Adedji Stanley Olajide, House of Rep member representing Ibadan North West South Federal Constituency of Oyo State.
Afrospace TV, Africa to the world.